And now for something completely different.
There are no safe spaces here. The truth shall make you free. So you want the truth, but can you handle the truth? And what did we learn? Well, here's another fine mess you've gotten us into.
The Craig L. Hayes Show. Just thinking, where we talk about everything else. Hello, America, family, friends, and listeners all around this planet we call home. This is the Craig L. Hayes Show. Just thinking, where we talk about everything else. I know you heard that before just a few seconds ago, but I wanted to remind you of that. I don't know why, but I wanted to remind you of it. We are coming to you on this episode, once again, from the Northern Command Center here in Enterprise, Utah. And it is the 17th of October, 2025. Today's topic is going to be called... Oh, I wrote it down and I dropped the paper on the ground. Oh, picked it up. Okay. America's official religion. Yeah, but Constitution says we can't have an official religion. There's a separation of church and state. Well, number one, it never says that in the Constitution anyway. Never one time does it say that there's a separation of church and state. Not one time, but everyone thinks it because Thomas Jefferson wrote a letter that there should be a separation between church and state. They all believe it's in the Constitution. That's how dumb these people really are. But anyways, that's not the point here. Does America have an official religion? No, we do not have an official religion. We will one day. We will have an official, and it will be declared what the official religion of the United States will be. But at this time, it's not. And yes, it will be declared it will be a Christian religion. That we are a Christian nation. It's unnecessary to say that at this time. Circumstances and events throughout the world dictate that those things don't have to be proclaimed at this time. But the day will come when it will be. What day that is, I don't know. Circumstances, not quite sure, but I think Jesus will come back and have a little say on what the official religion will be here in America. And perhaps the rest of the world. But right now we don't have it. Did you know that in the Constitution it basically says that we should not establish, that the federal government cannot establish a religion? Okay, that's fine. That means we can't have right now at this time the Church of the United States. Because remember where we came from, we had a Church of England. When we were part of England, there was the Church of England. And they were two intertwined together. One basically, Church of England basically said, well, whatever the king does, he can do because he's the king. And the king said, well, the official religion is the Church of England, and they can do what I say they can. See, there was too much intermingling of those two. Our founding fathers said we cannot have men, basically, who are flawed, allowing or pushing a religion to make what God has declared as wrong, let the religion declare it as legal. Notice I didn't say the church could say what God said was wrong. They said just what man wants to do is legal. Because man does not have the ability. He can do the following. He can take and say murder killing an innocent life is wrong. But man can sit there and say, we agree with that, but, there's always a but, murdering an unborn child is permissible. It's legal. Killing an elderly person dying of some disease is legal. We can make it legal, but it does not make it allowed by God. That's why we can't have an official Church of the United States of America like Church of England. So go back to the thing what I just asked. Do we have an official religion here in the United States? Would it surprise you to know that at the time of the Constitution being formed, all those men who sat there and voted for the Constitution put these things in there that there cannot be an established religion by the government? Did you know in a lot of the states and the colonies at that time, we'll call them states because it became states after the colony thing was all gone. Did you know that they almost all had official religions? And our founding fathers were perfectly fine with that. How could they be fine with having an official religion in their states, but vehemently say we cannot have an official United States of America religion? Well, it's very simple. They didn't mind that the people in the states wanted to sit there and make a declaration. I would think they recommended against declaring that the official language of such and such state, we'll say Pennsylvania is Presbyterianism. Now, all the people who aren't that, are they now second-class citizens? See, this is where the slippery slope starts happening on some of this stuff. Or are they protected under the same Constitution of the United States? See, the Constitution protects everybody within the Constitution, within the United States of America, and they have the same right to worship how they feel, etc. But the states are free to do it because in the states, unless it's in their Constitution, unless the states declare that we will not have an official religion in the state of Nevada, then you can't put it in there. Because we have to look at a couple things. What would be the issues with having that? Well, let me think. Is Massachusetts religion going to be Catholic or some kind of Protestant religion? We had a lot of Irish and such move into the Boston areas and stuff, or they're going to bring their old feuds of Catholic and Protestant war, they still have problems today. Not 250 years ago, just 250 years ago. We're talking today. They still have these issues over there in Ireland. Are these the kind of things we needed to have in this country? No. But we were free to do it on a state level. Here in Utah, what we're supposed to say, the official state religion is going to be the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints or Mormons. Was that going to be our official religion? I mean, members of my church came here, settled this land, turned it into the state that it was supposed to be, and then everybody else started moving in. What would have happened had we said this is now the state of Utah is officially a Mormon state? Does that make Catholics, Protestants, Baptists all move in here to find a better life, second-class citizens? No, we can't do that. We should not do that. I don't think we should be doing things such as that. Let he who is the creator of the world, who assisted his Father in creating all things, who came to earth 2,000 years ago and took upon him the sins of the world and paid for that in an infinite atonement, if he comes and says, the official religion of your nation shall be blank, okay, we have to listen to that one. Or if we're wise, we shall. But let's go back 250 plus years. 250 plus years ago, the men were still debating the things that were going on within the nation. They're still working on the Declaration of Independence at this time, trying to figure out how to get our nation to break away from England. They have tried everything they can. They had more and more problems with England. England was now seizing people from the ships. They were impounding cargo. They were posting soldiers in people's houses, which is just basically spies for the government, for the governors and the king. And our people said, that's enough. We've had enough. So our founding fathers, as they started discussing what it was going to take, they put together the Declaration of Independence. That's 250 years ago, coming up here in this July. I want to talk about Ben Franklin. A lot of people were there, but everybody knows Ben Franklin. But there was 50 people or whatever was part of that declaration. Ben Franklin was all part of it, and I guess because he was figured to be like the senior statesman from Pennsylvania, from the Philadelphia area. And for people to understand, Ben Franklin was not a particularly religious person. People always said he was agnostic or he was atheist. Well, maybe in his younger years, part of that perhaps he had a part of not really quite believing there was a God. But as years went on, the more and more I think he believed in God. The one thing he did have a stumbling part was Jesus. He wasn't quite sure about the Jesus thing. That's fine. You are allowed to question. That is what this country, that is what this world is built on, is free will, to question everything. And if you're wise, you should question everything. Thomas Jefferson said so. He said to question everything, even the very existence of God. And he was a religious person. But he wanted you to think, just not have blind obedience to anything or anyone. So anyways, let's get back to Benjamin Franklin. Did you know people kept pushing on him, trying to get him to say what his thoughts were as far as a religion here in America? They just wanted to know what his thoughts were. You know, he always had something to say about it. So let's finally have a little chat about that. Let's discover what he said. And he wrote down exactly what he thought. I'm going to paraphrase it a little bit. He said there is a creator, a God, and that creator should be worshipped. That doesn't sound very much like a guy that was agnostic or atheist, does it? And then he goes on to talk about Jesus, and Jesus was immortal. And the greatest way that we can show our love and obedience for our Heavenly Father is to do good for our fellow man. And he also talked about we will stand before God one day and be judged. So let me see. He believes in a God, the Creator. He believes in Jesus. As you notice, he didn't say a whole lot about the whole deal of being the what do I call him, the Savior, or that whole atonement thing. He didn't say a whole lot about it. But he believed he was there. He believed he was the Son of God, and he believed that he is immortal. Okay? And we were going to stand in judgment before God one day. And the best way we could show our love was to do good for our fellow man. If you think about it, hold on one second. I had a little in my throat. I had to get a little water. Sorry about that, folks. If you think about it, that's exactly what Jesus taught. If you love one another, or if you love me, love one another. As I have loved you, love one another. There it is. Jeez. Gee whiz. As I have loved you, love one another. Sounds familiar. Sounds like Ben was reading the Bible a little bit. I know he did. He read it. He may not have believed every part of it. But I know he read it. He understood it. I would go so far as to say he probably knew it better than most people who called themselves theologians. He was just a genius. The man was a genius and knew more about everything you could imagine. But he was always curious, always learning, always wanting to know more. So anyways, see, I like saying so. That is what Benjamin Franklin declared to be the official language, the official religion of America. America's official religion had three things basically. There is a God, he is our creator, and he should be worshipped. We will stand before him one day and be judged. Jesus is immortal, but he doesn't say to be worshipped. I always found that to be interesting, but that's his philosophy. Interesting. Doesn't make him any less important in what happened. And the best way we can show our love for God is to love one another, do good acts and good deeds for each other. So yes, America, we do have an official language. An official religion, sorry. I think we should have an official language declaration also. It's English. Nothing should be in any other language other than English in this country. There, I said it. Yes, I did. Anyways, our official language is, there is a God. We should worship him. We should do good for one another to show we love God. Pretty simple. If your religion doesn't teach that, then you're in the wrong religion. If you are in a non-religion, a atheist or agnostic, you don't have to believe the first or second part, but I think you would be wise to at least do good for your fellow man. You know, kind of an insurance policy. You know, maybe if I'm wrong, I at least would like to do something just to have a little insurance policy so I don't have to be scolded for not believing by the God that I don't believe in. Anywho, I don't know if that's of any real importance or consequence, but I heard something about that the other day, And I said, I got to talk about this because some people were talking about the separation of church and state, and there's no official language. I keep saying language. No official religion in America. And I knew that I knew quite a bit more than them, and I could prove actually there is. We do have an official religion, it just doesn't have a title. It doesn't have a church or a building to go to. It doesn't have pastors or preachers or whatever. What it has is us and a set of principles to be guided by. And if everybody would do the following, regardless of your religious belief, I don't care if you're Hindu, Buddhist, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, atheist, whatever. If we would just love our neighbors as we love ourselves, this world would be so much better. Just that simple principle. If we just followed the teachings, not even worship the teachings of Jesus, but follow his teachings, what an amazing world this would become. And they're the same principles that Benjamin Franklin believed in. So, for right now, that's about all I have to say about that. Oh, sorry, I didn't do it right. That's all I have to say about that. But we're going to have more episodes. We're going to have more ideas pop out there. Give you something to think about if you can tolerate listening to me. Please listen to the other shows that are part of my podcasts. I have 3 of them going. I also have It's Showtime, the Craig L. Hayes Show, all about entertainment. I have Main Street, the Craig L. Hayes Show, where I will start interviewing in the next week or so just everyday people who work in a city, a town, a village, or whatever. It takes a lot of people to make a community work. And we're going to start talking to them people. So until then, in our next episode, you've been listening to the Craig L. Hayes Show. Just thinking.